Good evening. My name is Veronica Gomez. I'm proud to be the new president of the Chicago Bar Foundation. On behalf of the Chicago Bar Association and the Chicago Bar Foundation, and my friend and counterpart, CBA President Mariam Ahmad, I'm pleased to welcome you to our virtual Pro Bono and Public Service Awards celebration. While we're disappointed to not be able to host this event in person this year, we're excited to host this virtual program featuring such a well-deserved slate of honorees. The remarkable award recipients you'll hear from this evening were selected from a larger and very impressive group of nominees. As everyone who served on our selection committees will attest, it's very inspiring to see the breadth and depth of great work our legal community is doing to make our justice system more fair and accessible for all. Now, our nominees, as you're going to hear more about, are a really impressive pool. I will just note that we were disappointed that they didn't fully represent the diversity of our legal community, particularly given the historic moment we're in right now as a country. We're going to make sure to make a more concerted effort in our outreach for nominations next year to ensure that we get a more diverse pool of nominees. And we hope that you can all help spread the word so that we can accomplish that. Now, none of that is to take anything away from our honorees this year, who, as you'll hear, are a really inspiring group of lawyers. Over the past few months, the pandemic and the resulting financial crisis have exacerbated the challenges that low-income and disadvantaged people face in accessing justice. This year's honorees are perfect role models for all of us to learn how we can use our skills to better serve the people in our community who need our help now more than ever. I look forward to sharing more about the good work you're making possible through the CBF later in the program. And I want to pass things over now to my co-host, Mariam, to say a few words of welcome before we start the rest of the program.
Thanks, Veronica. I'm happy to introduce myself. I'm Mariam Ahmed, and I'm proud to be the new Chicago Bar Association president. I'd like to echo Veronica in congratulating all of this year's recipients and thanking them for setting great examples for all of us. I'd also like to thank our many generous sponsors and supporters who have stuck with us during this difficult time. And thank you all for joining us today. As lawyers, we are uniquely positioned to help both individuals and small businesses across Chicago who are struggling with a range of legal issues as a result of the current pandemic. During my year as president, I have asked our members to recommit themselves to the bar and to the city of Chicago. Our honorees today are setting a great example for all of us for how we can use our distinct position as lawyers to step up and meet the many challenges facing our city. I hope you are inspired by this evening's program. And to kick us off, I am pleased to introduce Chief Justice Ann Burke of the Illinois Supreme Court to make a few welcoming remarks. We will then hear from Kimball and Karen Anderson to present our first award tonight. Thanks again, and congratulations to all our honorees for the well-deserved recognition they are receiving.
Good evening, and welcome to the Chicago Bar Association and the Chicago Bar Foundation's 22nd Annual Pro Bono and Public Service Reception. In a year filled with firsts because of the coronavirus pandemic that is affecting our state, our country, and indeed our world, this is the very first time the Pro Bono reception is being held as a virtual ceremony. And I'm so pleased to be here with you to share this virtual celebration. On behalf of myself and my colleagues on the Illinois Supreme Court, I want to congratulate each one of this evening's award recipients. It truly amazes me, although it really shouldn't, that despite the barriers these challenging times have imposed. The honorees all continue to work tirelessly for those suffering due to a lack of legal representation. They provide access to justice to those who might otherwise have no means to obtain it. They touch the lives of so many, particularly the most vulnerable in our community. Victims of domestic violence and domestic abuse, veterans, immigrants, people with disabilities, and children and families struggling to escape poverty. Their dedication is truly inspiring. Perhaps most noteworthy is this evening's honorees have not only devoted themselves to advocating for their individual clients to obtain justice, but also work tirelessly to advance systemic reforms in those areas where our laws and our legal system are falling short of what is necessary to achieve justice. In this way, they share a common trait. They are leaders. They provide guidance and direction while quietly inspiring and helping countless others to get involved. They are examples for us all. Each of this evening's honorees make us proud. And so we take this opportunity to recognize them for the extraordinary people they are. Gandhi once said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." The lawyers being honored this evening represent the type of change we need to see in the world and the good that is possible when we embody that change. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. Congratulations to all, and I hope you'll enjoy tonight's event.
Good afternoon. I'm Karen Gatzes-Anderson.
And I'm Kimball Anderson, and we want to thank you all for participating in this wonderful annual event where we honor every year those frontline workers in the field of public interest law, those heroes that are doing such great work. I want to take just a moment to tell you about the brief history of the Anderson Public Interest Fellowship. It started about 17 years ago. I was the president of the Bar Foundation. Bob Glaves was the relatively new executive director. And Bob and I decided that the foundation should conduct a statewide survey of public interest lawyers. And I think there were a little over 200 at the time. And our survey confirmed our suspicions that there are many public interest lawyers out there who were doing great work, but really could not afford to stay in public interest law because they were burdened with very high school debt. Some of the lawyers surveyed had school debt that looked like mortgages. And this was causing a lot of turnover in the public interest field in Illinois. So we decided to do something about it. Bob and Karen and I conferred, and we launched the Anderson Public Interest Fellowship about 17 years ago. And so every year we award a fellow with a $50,000 grant. The grant is spread over 5 years. These individuals then are allowed to, are encouraged to stay in public interest law. The 17 award winners, or 16 to date, 17 today, have done fabulous work. Most of them are still in public interest law, and we are very, very proud of them. And we're very proud of this year's fellow. And to introduce this year's fellow, I turn it back to Karen.
Hi. We're so pleased to present this year's award to Martin Cazzola. He is a staff attorney at Chicago Volunteer Legal Services, where he served as an intern during his 2 summers of law school and has been there throughout his entire career for the last 5 years. He has a long history of public service, including serving as an AmeriCorps Vista at Habitat for Humanity in rural New Jersey, in between undergraduate and law school. He was fortunate to land the job with CVLS upon graduation, and he initially worked on probate and foreclosure matters. But since 2017, he has served as CVLS's supervisor of their role in what's called the Illinois Armed Forces Legal Aid Network. PHELAN involves numerous agencies. It's a coordinated effort. Martin's supervisor at PHELAN said that even among a distinguished group of lawyers working at various agencies, that Marty's work really stands out. They work with an intake team to conduct interviews of veterans and to facilitate referrals for them to quality legal representation for those who have served our country. Martin is a very worthy recipient, and we're really pleased that he is this year's Anderson Fellow.
Late on a Friday night 4 months ago, my boss, CVLS Executive Director Meg Benson, forwarded our entire staff an email with a subject line that said simply, "Very important," in all caps. It was March 13th, and the email loosely confirmed what every attorney in Chicago already knew. Courthouses would close down due to the coronavirus outbreak and reopen at some undefined point in the future. In the 4 months since, everything about our world has transformed, from how we shop for groceries to how we celebrate birthdays, and the practice of law has been no exception. While my colleagues and I at CVLS could have looked at the partial shutdown of the country as an opportunity to get caught up on work or on sleep, we doubled down and began recruiting scores of new volunteers to conduct intake interviews and represent clients from the comfort of their home office. We did this because we know that the inequities that working class Chicagoans face each and every day didn't magically go away just because the court system was on pause. Rent is still due, children still need to be fed and cared for, and the elderly need help planning for the worst. While CVLS's transition to fighting for justice remotely hasn't been without its fair share of growing pains, I'm so proud and constantly in awe of everything we have accomplished so far. To Meg and everyone else I am lucky enough to call a coworker in the best and worst of times, thank you. I cannot imagine navigating these first 5 years of practicing, let alone being selected for this fellowship, without your support. Mom, Dad, I would not be the man I am, nor the attorney I am today without your constant love and mentorship. Every day I go to work, I think about how fortunate I am to be carrying forward a combined legacy of compassionate advocacy. And to Kimball and Karen Anderson, words cannot express how truly honored and humbled I am to have been selected for this fellowship. In the past 5 years, I have had the privilege to learn from and work alongside countless amazing legal aid attorneys, including many previous recipients of this fellowship. I cannot believe that I now have the opportunity to follow in their footsteps in the midst of a global pandemic, thanks to your unyielding generosity and commitment to public interest. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Congratulations to Marty. Our next award was created and endowed by Exelon, where I'm honored to serve as General Counsel for ComEd. The Exelon Award honors the pro bono contributions of an outstanding attorney in the corporate sector. Pro bono is an integral part of our work for all of the lawyers across Exelon and also for our outside counsel. I thank my colleagues for their tireless work to make our pro bono program a part of our corporate DNA here at Exelon and throughout the country. I'm happy to announce this year's recipient of the Exelon Award is Jane Mansell of the McDonald's Corporation. Jane's a leader within McDonald's pro bono program, devoting countless hours across numerous projects, and I'm going to list them. It's unbelievable. This includes managing the McDonald's partnership with the National Immigrant Justice Center. In this role, she works on pro bono matters that are truly life-changing as she petitions for asylum or visas on behalf of her clients who face persecution in their home countries. She's also a regular volunteer at the Woodlawn Legal Clinic through Legal Aid Chicago, the Special Education Parent Helpline managed by Equip for Equality, the Telephone Counseling Service at Prairie State Legal Services, and the Lawyers in the Classroom Project, which is now a part of the CBA. In addition to that impressive array of personal pro bono work Jane's doing, she's also organized several clinics within her company and recruited new attorney volunteers, increasing involvement across the whole legal department. Her positive impact on the communities, not only focused on legal matters. As one of her nominators shares, Jane is the first to raise her hand to assist with the many community service projects the company organizes, and she assists in any way she can to help make a difference in others' lives. That's a statement that we could all wish people could make about us. So it's my pleasure to present this year's Exelon Outstanding Corporate Counsel Award to Jane Mansell. Congratulations, Jane.
I'm really honored to be receiving this award. I'd like to thank Pauline Levy, our amazing pro bono director at McDonald's, and Sandy Wall, who originally got me involved with immigration work. There are two women who do a tremendous amount of pro bono work, and they have been role models and sources of inspiration to me. I also want to thank McDonald's Corporation. I am so grateful to work at a company that truly supports and encourages pro bono work. The skills I have acquired working for a legal department that has such high standards and that is so well organized has put me on solid ground to take on these cases. There are people all around us right here in Chicago who have fled civil wars, violence, and torture in their countries of origin. Often they face persecution just because of the color of their skin or their sexual orientation or their gender identity. Their biggest crime has been where they were born, and they often face dire consequences, possibly even death, if they are forced to return to their home countries. Having an attorney significantly increases the chances that these people will not be forced to return back to the countries where they have been abused and persecuted. In fact, asylum seekers who are represented by an attorney are 5 times more likely to obtain relief than those who are representing themselves. Yet many of these people cannot afford attorneys. This is where we happen. As attorneys, we often don't think about it, but we have a highly specialized skill set. I personally cannot think of a more important use of that skill set than potentially saving someone's life. For those corporate attorneys out there who haven't tried pro bono work in the past, I challenge you to take on a case. There are dozens of great organizations in Chicago, such as the National Immigrant Justice Center, who will train you and who will be there to support you and your client for the duration of your case. Based on my experience, I believe that you will find it incredibly rewarding, both on a personal and on a professional level. Thank you so much.
Our next award, the Richard J. PHELAN Public Service Award, honors a lawyer who has dedicated a significant portion of their legal career to the public sector, achieved excellence in their work, and demonstrated a commitment to improving the justice system. As a longtime public service lawyer myself, I see the dedicated work that lawyers in the state's attorney's office, the courts, and other public agencies do each day to make our community a fairer and better place. This work most often happens behind the scenes and with little public recognition. And like the legal aid lawyers we are honoring this evening, that is not why anyone goes into this work. This award is a chance for each of us to honor one unsung hero who has dedicated his or her career to public service and makes a tremendous impact. I am pleased to announce that this year's recipient is Marcia Meese, the Director of the Administrative Office of the Illinois Courts. Marcia has been at the AOIC since 1999, and except for a brief stint in private practice, has dedicated her entire legal career to public service. Also serving as an Illinois appellate court law clerk for 3 different justices. In her current role as AOIC director, Marcia provides guidance to the Illinois Supreme Court in the creation of its rules, orders, policies, and directives, and oversees the day-to-day management of the Illinois court system. Chief Justice Burke credits her with being instrumental in the court's decision to reconstitute the Judicial Conference 2 years ago as the strategic planning body for the Illinois Judicial Branch. Last fall, the court approved the Judicial Conference's groundbreaking strategic agenda for the judicial branch. Marcia's deft leadership and guidance has been instrumental and essential to the development and implementation of this new strategic agenda, which includes access to justice as a central element. Marcia also created the Courts, Children, and Family Division of the AOIC to help youth in child welfare and juvenile justice systems and those impacted by domestic violence and human trafficking. More recently, she formed a COVID-19 leadership group with various stakeholders in the state court system to keep the judicial branch functioning during this unprecedented time. While her role has always required big picture thinking, during the current crisis, she has taken that to another level to reimagine how the court system can work during the pandemic in a way that can balance access to justice with the public health and safety issues. I am pleased to present Marcia Meese with this year's PHELAN Award.
Good afternoon. It is such an honor to receive the Richard J. PHELAN Public Service Award, named for someone who exemplified the importance of public service in our profession. The previous recipients of this award are awe-inspiring, and I'm humbled to be among them. I thank the Chicago Bar Association and the Chicago Bar Foundation for creating this award and giving a face to the important work that is behind the scenes and often unknown to many. I will miss attending the Inspiring Pro Bono Awards Luncheon, especially this year, but I appreciate the opportunity to address you here. Court administration was not on my radar when I was in law school, but my experience working in the administrative office of the Illinois courts and eventually becoming the state court director has turned out to be enormously rewarding. I would encourage any young law graduate interested in public service to consider work in court administration. My role as state court director is a truly unique position that allows you to assist the Supreme Court with incredibly important statewide policy. Things like criminal justice reform, child welfare, problem-solving courts, the list goes on and on and on. And then there are the curveballs you don't expect, like figuring out how to run a state court system during a worldwide pandemic. These are challenging times, to say the least. We are so fortunate in Illinois to have a Supreme Court that is consistently interested and invested in the administrative authority they have over our entire court system. I have had the honor of working closely with the last two Chief Justices, with former Chief Justice Lloyd Carmeier, and now with our current Chief Justice, Ann Burke, both of whom exemplify what great leadership should be. I thank Chief Justice Burke and the entire Illinois Supreme Court for their generous support and recognition of all of the people who work so hard at the administrative office of the courts each and every day. And I thank you again, Chicago Bar Foundation, for this great honor. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Madeline Lewis. I am honored to present the Edward J. Lewis II Pro Bono Service Award. Edward was my father. During his lifetime, my father modeled for me the very best attorneys can be. He taught me to treat everyone equally with no exceptions. He respected each and every person and was respectful of their opinions regardless of how different they were from his own. He instilled in me a sense of justice and showed me how to be a person of service and advocacy through his example. When I moved to Chicago to attend college, I gained a deeper understanding of who my father was. I learned about his work and the positive impact he had on the community, the city where he studied and practiced law. Each year I attend the Chicago Bar Foundation Luncheon, I am astonished and humbled by the work that these attorneys are doing, how they serve their clients, and their efforts to make the justice system accessible and equitable for all. The important work done by people like my dad and this year's winner has been a sole motivator to pursue a career in law myself, as I will attend my first year of law school this fall. I am certain that all of us attending this event and learning about the work of these hardworking individuals leaves us all inspired to do our own good works. I am pleased to announce that this year's recipient of the award is Ken Schmetterer from DLA Piper. Since the beginning of his career, Ken has advanced the cause of justice in many ways, with a special focus on juvenile justice on both a local and national level. Locally, Ken has been a lifetime member of a pro bono advisor of the Umoja Student Development Corporation, which works with CPS to build deep social emotional learning skills in educators to transform the ways young people experience school. He also served as a leader of DLA Piper's Juvenile Justice Project, including as editor of a substantial policy study assessing and facilitating the reform of the process by which children transition from the juvenile court system back to school. Nationally, Ken has co-authored 3 amicus curiae briefs submitted to the U.S. Supreme Court on behalf of the ABA on matters involving juvenile sentencing and juvenile justice issues. He is also on the board of the National Juvenile Defender Center and has taken on several research projects for the organization and has led teams of associates and summer associates working on those projects. This is just one example of the guidance and encouragement Ken has provided for younger attorneys getting involved with pro bono work. Outside of his juvenile justice efforts, Ken has also acted as a lead pro bono counsel for several years on behalf of a Lake County nonprofit focused on housing and resources for people experiencing homelessness and mental health issues. He and his colleagues were able to successfully appeal a decision from the Zoning Board of Appeals that ultimately led to new affordable housing building for chronically homeless individuals. Like my dad, the depth of Ken's pro bono service is inspirational, and the impact of his policy means he is not just helping the individual clients, but has played an invaluable role in reshaping the larger legal system for the better. Ken's colleagues are quick to praise his kind and humble nature alongside his demonstrated passion for truly caring about helping people, and one of his nominators even called him a unicorn. After reading about the incredible work that Ken has done, and having had the pleasure to speak with Ken last week, I am confident that he is a perfect choice for this award. As others have been touched by his kindness, I was also touched by his kindness and generosity in taking the time to reach out to my family and I. It is my honor to present Ken Schmetterer with this year's Edward J. Lewis II Pro Bono Service Award.
Edward Lewis was humble, he was fearless, and he inspired. His life and legacy exemplifies what it means to stare down injustice and to ensure that the most vulnerable among us are treated with decency. For me to accept this honor by the Chicago Bar Foundation, candidly, made me feel uncomfortably a little like former Bulls player Stacey King. After a game where Michael Jordan scored 69 points, Stacey bragged that he would never forget the night that he and Jordan scored a combined 70 points. For me to accept an honor when it is you, the Chicago Bar Foundation grant recipients, you are in juvenile court every day getting children out of COVID-infested detention centers. You ensure that the rights of special needs students, tenants, immigrants, asylum seekers, and victims of domestic abuse are enforced. And you, the extraordinary staffs of Umoja and the National Juvenile Defender Center, who have meant so much to me. And you, my colleagues at DLA Piper, especially the incomparable Annie Helms and Lisa Dewey. It is your work and your example that moves us, because you make those of us in private practice hold up a mirror to ourselves and ask what more we should be doing. It is an honor to work alongside of you. And that's just in a normal year, which this is not. In this unique moment, so devoid of decency and national leadership, a pandemic, a wounded economy, and a moment where scabs are being ripped off of racial and historic wounds that had never healed. There is a new call for those of us in positions of privilege to examine ourselves and our own roles and our own histories with humility. It is as important as ever to just be present, to meet those with different life experiences or who have been disenfranchised wherever they are, to truly see and to hear others, to uplift, to persevere, and to meaningfully engage with open minds and open hearts. I want to congratulate all of the nominees and award winners and thank my wonderful family, Nancy, Talia, Will, and Jeremy, for indulging and supporting me in this work that takes time away from you. To my father, for your example in public service, and to my colleagues in the leadership of DLA Piper who know that pro bono and community service is not just to be encouraged, but is expected. Thank you finally to the Chicago Bar Foundation and to the family of Edward Lewis for amplifying his exceptional legacy.
Congratulations to Marcia and Ken. What an inspiring group of award recipients so far. Before we continue on with the awards, I want to share a little with you about the critical work you all have been making possible through the CBF during these incredible times we're living in. Your support enables the CBF to play a comprehensive, systemic leadership role in our legal community on pro bono, on legal aid, and on access to justice issues. And that role has never been more critical than since March, when the pandemic and all of the resulting consequences have hit us all. On the pro bono front, we partner with and help bolster great pro bono programs at places like McDonald's and DLA Piper, while also helping other smaller firms and corporate programs ramp up their efforts to provide quality pro bono assistance for people in need. When the shutdown hit in mid-March, the CBF quickly moved to help ensure pro bono services could continue in an environment where everything needed to happen remotely at the same time that low-income and disadvantaged people faced a host of new challenges. As just one example, we developed a special resource document for lawyers interested in remote pro bono opportunities and expanded our online pro bono opportunities guide to include a remote-specific section. And we continue to update those resources as so much of the work continues remotely. We've also been working closely with our court partners since the shutdown to help the system pivot to the remote environment in a way that preserves access to justice while balancing public health needs. As just two examples, the CBF played an integral role in developing the rule and policy of the Illinois Supreme Court for remote appearances. We're also working with the Circuit Court on new programs to help address the growing number of evictions, consumer debt, and foreclosure matters. One other program I want to highlight is the CBA-CBF Task Force on the Sustainable Practice of Law and Innovation, which has continued its hard work since the pandemic struck, and next week we'll release a comprehensive report for public comment. The task force was convened to address the growing disconnect between the legal needs of the public and lawyers who could serve them. Their proposals aim to accomplish three interrelated goals. One, helping lawyers connect to more potential clients and offer more affordable and accessible solutions. Two, helping people to recognize when they have a legal problem and where they can turn for affordable and reliable help. And three, spurring more innovation in the profession and in the delivery of legal services. The need for more innovation and flexibility in our profession has only become more clear since the task force kicked off its work last fall. And the task force report will include a number of recommendations to the Illinois Supreme Court to modernize the rules of professional conduct, to shape a better future for our profession, for the public, and for the justice system. Those are just three examples of the important work the CBF has been doing since the pandemic upended our lives. And we're grateful to you and to our many partners for helping make this possible. We very literally would not be able to do this work without your financial support. And it's no cliche to say that work is more important than ever in the current climate. So thank you to those of you who have already made donations when you registered for this event. And if you have not, please consider making a gift today to make sure that the CBF can continue playing this important role. Together, we can continue to help the people most impacted by this crisis as we build a fairer and better new normal for our justice system. There's a link to donate directly under this video to give by credit card or electronic check. You can always mail a check to the Chicago Bar Foundation. If you have any questions about donating, please reach out to the CBF staff and they'll be happy to assist. Thank you again for your continued support of the CBF and our legal community. I'm excited to turn it back to Mariam to present our next award.
For more than 40 years now, the MAURICE WEIGLE Exceptional Lawyer Award has celebrated the exceptional contributions of young lawyers to the profession, the organized bar, and the community. The award reflects the inspiring family legacy of an extraordinary father and son, Maurice W. Weigel and Maurice S. Weigel, who each exhibited a lifelong devotion to the law and the community. This year's recipient is Yazamin K., an associate who just started this month at Goldberg Cone and previously practiced at Perkins Coie. Yazamin is only 5 years into her law career, but has contributed what might be a lifetime number of pro bono hours for the average attorney. Outside of her normal bankruptcy and restructuring practice, Yazamin has used her practice area expertise to help on pro bono bankruptcy matters for several nonprofits and individual clients. Beyond that, her hundreds of hours have been dedicated to a variety of matters, ranging from orders of protection for survivors of domestic violence to serving as guardian ad litem in the minor guardianship matters to prisoner civil rights cases. Yazamin was also a leader in Perkins Coie's pro bono committee, where she helped introduce new lawyers to pro bono as a part of their onboarding and helped develop partnerships between the law firm and legal aid organizations. She also assisted in coordinating volunteer trainings and ongoing pro bono work. She looks forward to continuing this leadership at her new law firm. Her compassion for her clients is evident, as one thanked her by saying, "I'm just so impressed with how much you cared. My family didn't trust lawyers much. Now, after watching you work and seeing how you made things better for us, it made us realize that lawyers really can make a difference." That's something one of her clients said to her. With that, I am honored to present this year's Weigel Award to Yazamin K.
Thank you all for coming to this virtual celebration, and thank you to the Chicago Bar Foundation for this incredible award. When people ask me as a bankruptcy and restructuring attorney, why do I choose to spend so much of my time on pro bono, that has nothing to do with my regular practice. And for me, I've always said that I feel like lawyers are uniquely situated to give back to our communities in ways that other people can't. We know the law, we know how the court system works, and we can give back to people who normally wouldn't have access to the same resources as others. I think that's best understood when I think about some of the specific cases that I've worked on. I tried a lot of different types of pro bono, but the types of cases that are most meaningful to me have been the minor guardian ad litem cases that I do with CBLS. I can think of one case in particular where the case started. It was a 12-year-old boy, and the parties were all arguing. No one was getting along. It was really impacting the child's life every day. He was visibly upset at every court hearing. I spent about a year on that case. Probably every week I was on the phone with different people and people arguing, and there were a lot of issues to work through. But at the end of the day, at the end of the case, we were standing in the courtroom, and the judge was making her decision, and the mom, who had made a lot of progress in the case, she started crying, and she told the judge, and she told me, "You've really changed my life." Everyone in the room was emotional, and we got out of the courtroom, and she hugged me, and she says, "You have no idea how much you changed my life and my child's life. Those are moments that I just don't get in my normal practice. And it reminded me of how I can use my skills to impact someone so greatly. Pro bono not only changes your own life, it changes lives of other people. And I think as an attorney, if you're not looking for ways to give back, it's not a complete career. And we're so fortunate to live in a city where there's many opportunities. There's something for everyone. So I would encourage everyone to get involved, and thank you again for your time and for attending. And thank you again to the Chicago Bar Foundation.
Our next award is named in honor of Leonard J. SCHRAGER, one of those special professors who was able to combine his incredible professional skills and experiences with his passion for teaching. Throughout Leonard's long and accomplished career, he's inspired countless lawyers to make pro bono and public service a central part of their careers. This award recognizes exemplary attorneys in academia who, in the spirit of Leonard's example, have made significant and lasting contributions to improving access to justice. We'd like to thank the lawyers at Reed Smith as well for helping to create this award in his honor. The recipient of this year's Leonard J. SCHRAGER Award for Excellence is Lori Mikva of the Northwestern Pritzker School of Law. Lori has devoted her entire career to public service, starting as a public defender in Maryland, then working at the Land of Lincoln Legal Assistance Foundation for 15 years, and since 2012 in her current role as director of the Civil Litigation Center at Northwestern's Bloom Legal Clinic. In her time at Land of Lincoln, Lori helped to establish the Domestic Violence Clinic at the University of Illinois College of Law and supervised students in the clinic. Lori also has served on the board of the Legal Services Corporation since 2009, when she originally was appointed by President Obama and confirmed by the U.S. Senate. At Northwestern, Lori works alongside her students to represent tenants facing eviction from federally subsidized housing as students build their litigation skills, which is the primary focus of the course. Lori also ensures that they leave that course with an understanding of the context of their work and how helping tenants enforce their rights can mitigate some of the long-lasting consequences of poverty and unstable housing. Lori encourages all of her students to make pro bono work a part of their legal careers, no matter what paths they may choose to take after graduation, multiplying her impact in a way similar to Leonard. As one of her nominators put it, while students often choose to enroll in her course to improve their litigation skills, they leave with an understanding of the need for vigorous advocacy to enforce the rights of low-income clients and a desire to include that work in their career. It's my honor to present this year's Leonard J. SCHRAGER Award of Excellence to Lori Mikva. Congratulations, Lori.
Good afternoon. This award is especially meaningful to me, coming from the Chicago Bar Foundation, which does so much to support access to justice efforts in Chicago and beyond. The award really goes to my students in my civil litigation clinic, who come each semester with hope, commitment, and determination. The Civil Litigation Clinic represents tenants facing the threat of eviction or termination of housing subsidies. These are not sexy cases like getting an innocent person released after 25 years of wrongful confinement. The students who sign up for this clinic understand the devastating and long-lasting consequences to tenants and their families from being evicted, or even worse, from losing their housing subsidy, which is often the only thing that allows a parent to keep the family together, to maintain a job, to provide the stability that is essential to raising healthy and successful children. Working with our housing partners, Legal Aid Chicago, Cabrini Green Legal Aid, and Lawyers Committee for Better Housing, the students dedicate themselves to their clients. They work long hours on their cases, notwithstanding the many other obligations they face in law school, because they think they can make a difference. I'm happy to say that they are usually able to help their clients maintain their homes and their housing subsidies. Even when the clients don't get everything they want or everything they should get, they are better off for having had a legal champion in the corner for a change. So thank you, students. You do make a difference, and you show us that with a little hope and determination, we can all make a difference. Thank you, Chicago Bar Foundation and Chicago Bar Association, for this tremendous honor, and even more for all that you do to promote equal justice.
Good evening, everybody. I'm very excited to be here tonight. My name is Jim Morsch. I'm the chair of the Thomas H. Morsch Public Service Award Committee and a member of the Morsch family. Very excited tonight to recognize Wendy Pollock of the Schreiber Center as this year's winner of the Morsch Public Service Award. The award recognizes an outstanding lawyer who has devoted her career to public interest law, not as a sometimes pro bono lawyer like myself or my father, or many others in the room, but by working full-time in a not-for-profit legal aid or public interest agency. The award comes with a $10,000 honorarium, which we encourage the award winner to utilize for a trip postponed or a purchase put off because of the sacrifices she made as a public service lawyer. Wendy Pollock, what a career. Wendy, as she says on the first line of her resume, started out as an apprentice carpenter. She joined the union as one of the first females in 1982, and along the way became one of the founding members of what today is called the Chicago Women in Trades, one of the leading advocates for women in the trades. She left that career to go to law school, and after graduation from Harvard Law, she joined Legal Assistance Foundation, where she worked in the Inglewood office. Wendy transitioned to the predecessor of the Schreiber Center in 1996 to continue her work on welfare, public benefits, and above all, the rights of women and others who suffer workplace discrimination and violence. There, she founded the Women's Law Policy Initiative. Wendy's list of accomplishments as the director of the Women's Initiative is too long to list here, but includes groundbreaking personal and class action litigation, passage of domestic violence legislation, workplace violence prevention, school initiatives, immigrant protection, minimum wage laws, and enhancement to paid sick and family leave protection for workers. In the words of our nominee and former Morsch Award recipient himself, John Bauman, the retired president of Schreiber Center, from client to organizer to advocate to attorney, Wendy's career spans all those roles in many key issues, always as a pioneer and teacher and leader. Her advocacy model is classic legal services. The issues start with individual people walking through the door with their problems, and her mission is to solve those problems, whether with an individual case or a systemic solution, and usually both. Wendy combines the hard-won wisdom of a discriminated against worker in a physically demanding trade, and in the trenches, high-volume, direct services lawyers with top-notch intellect, sophisticated skills, and seasoned judgment of an excellent policy advocate. Let me join John in those words and congratulating Wendy for her career and for this well-deserved recognition of the Morsch Public Service Award. Thank you.
Thank you for this award, and thanks to Mr. Morsch for creating the award. I am truly honored. As a young woman, I drew inspiration from both the civil rights and the anti-war movements, but it was the women's movement that really propelled me forward both personally and professionally. My path to law school was a bit different than most. In 1978, with a desire to learn a skill that would allow me to earn a good wage and benefits, coupled with the determination to break through the concrete ceiling, I joined the United Brotherhood of Carpenters and Joiners of America. I was the only woman in a class of 80 apprentices. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. Systemic change never is. But it was my personal experience as a tradeswoman that helped me recognize the power of the law to change lives for the better and its capacity to harm when ignored or overridden. This led me to pursue a legal career. During my legal career, I have engaged in litigation, including litigation against construction contractors who were discriminating against tradeswomen. I've also worked to improve federal, state, and local laws and policies with the goal of achieving economic, gender, and racial justice. One of the questions asked of me over the years is, how do you keep at it for so long? The answer is easy. Ideals are great, but working with those who would benefit most by the changes. That is the reason for and the satisfaction in doing this work. And the Shriver Center has allowed me to do this work. I want to thank all of my current and former colleagues at the Shriver Center, particularly John Bowman, Margaret Stapleton, and Dan Lesser. In the mid-1990s, when federal law changed and we could no longer continue our work if we remained at the Legal Assistance Foundation, we took a leap of faith, left LAF, and joined what was then the National Clearinghouse for Legal Services. We made a pact with each other that we would give it a go for 2 years. Success was definitely not a sure thing. That was 1996. It's been my honor and privilege to work at the Shriver Center, whose mission aligns with my own: ensure justice every day for everyone. We are once again living in a time of collective outrage and grief. We must recognize and build on the importance of this moment and this movement to dismantle structural racism. I am inspired to continue working for a more just and equitable world. I know it's not going to be easy. Systemic change never is. My thanks to the Chicago Bar Association and Foundation for acknowledging my work and honoring me with the Thomas Morsh Award. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for attending our first ever virtual award celebration. Like so many things in our lives right now, we would have much rather been doing this in person to celebrate this great group of lawyers. But it is no less an amazing group of people that we're honoring for this very well-deserved recognition. So thank you for joining us, and congratulations again to all of them. I'd like to have you all grab your favorite beverage and join me in giving them a virtual toast. Cheers. So if you've been to our event in past years, you know we've been starting in recent years with some music to help set the tone. And while we couldn't do that in the same way, we honored our promise to bring back Bruce Springsteen this year. And the choice this year was Waiting on a Sunny Day, a song we thought really fit the times well. So if you did not have a chance to look at the video beforehand, we encourage you to do that afterwards, and we'll supply that link again. But we thought that song really sums up what we're all feeling, having our lives upended over these past 4 months. As Bruce says, hard times, baby, they will come to us all, sure as the ticking clock on the wall. And hard times came to us all at the same time back in March. But like so many things, those hard times really hit the low-income and disadvantaged people in our community with disproportionate impact. And many of those same people already were dealing with systemic inequality that has been there forever, but was laid bare by recent events for all of us to see in more detail than we probably have in the past. And so many people in our community are in effect dealing with twin pandemics right now. Our justice system is right in the center of all of this. And if we've ever had a bigger call to action as a legal community than we have right now, I'm not sure what it is or when that was. So the good news is our honorees give us some really good inspiration and set some great examples for us of how wherever we are in the profession, there's much we can do to make things better. Whether we're newer to the profession or seasoned vets, whether we are in full-time public service or in private practice where we're doing pro bono as part of our work, there is a big difference everybody can make, and it's more important than ever. The individual clients we help, the individual cases we handle, as well as the systemic impact we tackle and the systemic challenges we tackle, they're all very important and very critical right now, and maybe more daunting than they've ever been. But as Bruce says, don't worry, we'll find a way. And that is the case because we have some great inspiration and examples from our honorees tonight. And we will find a way and help chase the clouds away for many of the people who are suffering in our community right now. So thank you again for attending the event and for all you do for the CBF throughout the year. And congratulations again to our honorees for this very well-deserved recognition. You've given us a lot of inspiration that we can take to the hard work in front of us. And I hope you all have a great night.